Yo, what's up, guys? Today I'm making a video about xlibre. Let's go! Fuck Gnome. Anyway, okay, so there's this, quote that's wrongly attributed to Churchill that says something along the lines of the anti-fascists of today will become the fascists of tomorrow. And it's kind of, when you're anti-fascist, it's riding a line of fascism, you know what I mean? That's just like what it is, you know? You have people that think in that dichotomy, and then you have people like me that just look at the whole scenario and realize what the hell is going on. And the reason why I bring up that quote is because there's all these weirdos in Gnome, dude. Like, I'm always seeing Gnome blogs, I'm always seeing some freak show who has a computer science degree talk about politics. I don't know why computer people are talking about politics anyway. You should kind of just talk about software, right? And I feel like there's kind of this really fucked push for Linux users. They have to be one. Oh, you're either using C and suckless tools and xlibre and you got a Hitler portrait on your wall, or you're some freak show clown person with five different colors in your hair, with like making up a fake name for yourself, and then pointing the finger at everybody else and telling everybody about how bad those people are, even though you probably got 15 child skeletons in your closet. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't understand this. I don't understand, especially as a person, I get called bad names by both sides. I'm either too liberal or I'm too conservative. I don't personally view the world like that. I think you're selling yourself short on the understanding of life by trying to group people together and not realizing that everything is on a gradient. Everything ever that has ever existed is on a gradient. Good and evil, right and wrong. This is a thing, and your ideological viewpoint of the world decides whether or not you're in the right or the wrong with that sort of stuff, right? So these people, they don't got a lot going on in their lives when it comes to like struggling. You know what I mean? They don't have to. Oh, like, what's the worst thing? Oh, I might have to go drive DoorDash so I can afford my bills. Like, if that's the worst thing you're worrying about, if you're not worrying about getting shot or like starving to death, or I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, dude. And then, it's just so stupid. But anyway, over the years, I seem to believe like the Gnome Project is full of people like that. And unfortunately, they're giving Lunduk W after W. I don't like the Lundoodler, by the way. I don't like Lundoodler. I'm not a fan. I think he's clickbaity, he's a sensationalist. Ah, like him. Well, to be fair, no one brought this up, but him bringing up the fact that he's Jewish and how they're attacking a Jewish person and calling them a Nazi. It's like, I've been listening to this language my whole life. It is absolutely boring to me. It is the most boring conversation ever to be had. And honestly, none of these. Okay, if it's anything like the MX people, none of these gnome people have any room to talk about anybody. Let's just put it this way. When they say the term inclusive, it means everybody that agrees with them. It doesn't actually mean inclusive. That's the thing. It doesn't. So they had some mentally ill freak show post some article about fascist maggots or something on known blog. It's deleted, by the way. I tried to find it. It's deleted. They had a bunch of talking points in it. They were saying something about concern trolling with accessibility in Wayland. And, the thing is before this whole Ex Libre thing happened, like, that's been a discussion, dude. Like, accessibility on Wayland is not 100%. And what's the crazy part about it is Xorg enabled a lot of these screen reader stuff and a lot of the different accessibility stuff, which drew disabled people to Linux because it works better than Windows or than Mac or whatever. Like, it's just a better experience overall from the things that I've read. I've seen a few different interviews with people who have accessibility issues that That's the whole reason why they use Linux. It's not because, oh, I'm some programmer nerd or whatever. It's like I gotta be able to like read stuff. You know what I mean? And with Wayland being shaky in that department, it's getting better, but shaky, right? So it's like this other thing where like these people want to keep Linux in this perpetual state of brokenness, and them trying to kill off, and I think that's part of the reason why the xlibre thing is good, because they're trying to kill off the original Xorg project, which is a fork of a fork of a fork, right? Because the same crap keeps happening all over, except for this time there's a political spin to it. Anyway, I just, like to get on Gnome, like, they had some weird shaman lady burning sage in the office who had no clue how to use a computer. They had some some guy that was working for Manjaro reposted like a Lunduk article or something and got banned from the Gnome forums. You'll never catch me on Gnome forums. You got to be some sort of like mentally ill to be on those forums and like to like deal with those people. And every time it's just like snarkiness, like unwarranted snarkiness. Because let me tell you something about the world. Okay, there's people like me in the world that when you talk to me on the street, you would never fucking know that I was into all this stuff. You would never know it. I just don't come off like that. You know what I mean? Oh, he's just some stoner guy, some hippie, whatever. That's how most people kind of view me, and I'm fine with that. I'm cool with it. I'm part of the whole cannabis culture thing, and whatever, fine. And like, then there's other people that are like, oh, well, this person has a college degree and they work for the Gnome Foundation, and oh, look at the software projects they're doing. Let me tell you something about coding that a lot of people aren't going to say because it kind of ruins their ego a little bit. But you don't need to be smart to memorize a book. Smart people, well, I shouldn't say not all people that work on cars are smart. You know what I mean? And a car is a complex machine. You know what I mean? There's a lot going on there. Um, a lot of people who become doctors are complete fucking retards, right? So it's like, I don't know why these people think that they're like above anybody else in this scenario, because the reality is credentialism is one of the biggest things plaguing this country. Is people think, oh, because I have a college degree in computer science, I'm 100% um capable of talking about politics because I took these two classes to get the credits, you know what I mean? So I could get my degree. It's like, fuck out of here, bro. Like, I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to hear about politics anyway, because the reality is this is just some Hegelian dialectic shit. The people that are in the deep state, that are in all these corporations, this type of stuff benefits them. Xorg going away benefits them. You know what I mean? Because then that's less whatever they less resources they have to put into something that they think is dead. You know. So yeah, these people are fucking weird, and it whatever, dude. You know what's the exact thing that I said I made a video about Lunduk talking about the Arch Linux community being a bunch of freak show people, and I mean he's not 100% wrong, but like what I said in there is it's like just let these people do this thing because their shit's gonna die off, and then something's gonna get forked, xlibre, and then you just have better people because you gotta think of the dynamic of this group scenario, right? So you have a bunch of these people that have been in this org for like X amount of time, and they have credentialism going on where they think, oh, I'm like, ooh, I'm an X maintainer, I'm a this maintainer, and it's like, oh, I know better than you because, like I've been here longer. And it's like, nah, not necessarily. Like you're just an idiot because you worked for free longer than I have. You know what I mean? But anyway, um, when you have people like that, when there's somebody that's actually trying to make progress and they hit a wall with these people, they're just going to leave or they're going to get banned, which is what's been happening a lot lately. You know what I mean? And, yeah, it's actually honestly all for the better, you know? I just think it's unfortunate that people can't come together and just like deal with this scenario and this Xorg can't go away, dude. There's too much stuff using it. I've seen definitely quality, what you call it, like it's gotten worse over time. And even if you're talking about Gnome, like Gnome itself is terrible, dude. I installed it like 2 weeks ago over on my Mac, and I'm just like, this is almost unusable in the Wayland form. It's like terrible. And it's already a bad designed desktop, and they've been way too strict with the features on it. Like, they could have picked up tiling, and then Cosmic Desktop would never exist, right? But they just couldn't do tiling, you know? And but yeah, it's bad software, and it's just gotten worse and worse and worse over time. And the rounded corners and the apple. There's like a meme that I posted. It's a guy doing a test, and he's looking down at his test, and then that guy says, it says apple on him, and then the next guy is Gnome, and he's looking at the guy's test, writing on his own test, and then the one after that is a guy that says apple, and he's looking at the Gnome guy. And it's just this feedback loop of bad UI design and just terrible, terrible people. As for, these fascists, because that's what they are, they're people that are using social tactics to, silence the people that they don't agree with. Like, that's really what it is. It's a light fascism light, you know what I mean? And most of these people have some sort of weird ass political agenda that doesn't make any sense. Um, I mean, it makes sense if you're a person that's lived in a world of opulence and you've had everything handed to you and you got your little college degree from your mommy and daddy who paid for it and blah blah blah. Ugh. Anyway, I hate Gnome people. I've gotten away from Gnome a long time ago. I did at one point think it was pretty good, but it's just terrible. Xorg in its current state is declining, and I don't like the idea of that. I'm just repeating myself over and over. But yeah, I'm going to be making a video on xlibre. I'm going to install it. I just feel like, this is becoming more and more, like, the more months that go by, the more of this kind of stuff happens, where you have these mentally ill freak show people who probably have all sorts of dirty stuff in their background that would be really easy to find, trying to make, social judgments on people who are better than them. Obviously, if this kid who is doing, what was it? It was like last year he did 63% of the Xorg commits. If this guy's putting in work, he's making all those people look stupid, right? So to attack him and ban him and do X, Y, and Z would kind of be par for the course when you're a sensitive Sally, and you can't handle people outperforming you. I'm like really sick. I know I said that. I'm really sick of seeing this. It's just very. Yeah, and what's funny is you're just driving people in the opposite direction. People are radicalizing even harder and harder, and I don't like that. It's like two opposite ends of the polarity of a magnet pressing, or the whatever. They're trying to push close, but it won't ever go close because they're both fucking crazy. And I feel like right wing people are like that too. Right wing people, they fucking say X, Y, and Z, and then they just do the same dirty, underhanded tactics as everybody else. It's cringe. It's cringe. Over what? Over what? The way somebody uses software? Now you gotta work. Now, because of all this political fighting and stuff like that, there's gonna be a bunch of disabled people who could possibly lose the ability of having their setups be all good. Because you gotta remember, like, some of these people spent years putting together these setups, and Xorg thing break. Thank God there's xlibre. Hopefully we get these people switched over so everything's all set. Anyway, enough of me rambling about this. I just feel like it's such a fucking dirty thing, and it's like I'm really sick of reading about it. And these people don't realize how evil they are for doing this shit. Like, they really don't. Like, they think they're in the right. They're like, they come up with all these justifications. It's literally free software, dude. If you don't want to maintain it anymore, find somebody else to fucking maintain it. Like, fuck these people. And then, I've never really covered Rel stuff on my channel aside from like Magia and like Alma, because I felt like they were farther enough away from Red Hat to like, and I still will maintain that. I'm not going to be covering Rel shit. We're not covering no Fedora no more. We're not covering none of that. That branch will get zero attention from me from now on. We're only fucking with like Debian and Gentoo and Arch and things like that are actually cool that work. Well, Debian doesn't really work, but anyways, if you like this video, please feel to like, comment, share, subscribe. Leave me a comment if you disagree with me. If you're some freak show with blue hair and you just think you know so much better about the world than everybody else, why don't you tell me about how I'm wrong in the comments? I'd love to hear it. I'm totally not going to delete it. You know what I mean? Hey, check you later, dude.